March 18th, 1990. The city of Boston was waking up from a chaotic, alcohol-fueled St. Patrick's Day celebration. But inside the grand Venetian-style walls of the Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum, time had completely stopped. As the morning staff walked through the heavy doors, they weren't greeted by the quiet majesty of Renaissance art. Instead, they stepped into a living nightmare. Frames, massive, centuries-old gold leaf borders, hung completely empty on the walls, their historic canvases brutally hacked away. $500 million in irreplaceable human history had vanished into the damp morning fog. No alarms had sounded, no panic buttons were pressed. It would become the largest, most baffling property theft in human history. To understand how two men pulled off the perfect crime, we have to go back to the beginning of that fateful night. The date was March 17th. The museum, a replica of a 15th century Venetian palace, housed one of the most eccentric and valuable private art collections in the world. Its founder, Isabella Stewart Gardner, had left strict instructions in her will. Nothing in the museum could ever be moved, altered, or rearranged. If anyone changed a layout, the entire collection would be seized and shipped to Paris. This bizarre rule created a static, frozen-in-time atmosphere. It also made the museum incredibly vulnerable. Security was notoriously outdated. There were no motion-activated cameras monitoring the perimeter, no direct line to the local police department, and the night watchmen were underpaid, untrained college students and musicians. On this particular night, a 23-year-old musician named Richard Abath was manning the security desk. Beside him was a second, equally inexperienced guard. Their job was simple: sit at the front desk, walk through the galleries every hour, and ensure the doors remained locked. It was supposed to be a boring routine shift, but at exactly 1:24 a.m., the silence was broken by the sharp, jarring ring of the museum's side entrance buzzer. Abath looked at the security monitor. Standing outside in the cold air were two men wearing dark blue coats, official caps, and the distinct badges of Boston police officers. One of the men leaned toward the intercom, his voice calm and authoritative. He claimed they were investigating a loud disturbance within the courtyard and needed immediate access. Abath hesitated. The museum's strict protocol explicitly stated that no one, not even the police, should be let inside after hours. But looking at the uniforms, the badges, and the police cruiser parked down the street, Abath made a catastrophic mistake. He pressed the button and clicked the lock open. The two officers stepped into the dim, yellow light of the lobby. Almost immediately, the atmosphere turned freezing cold. The taller officer, hiding behind a thick mustache and a low-brimmed cap, stared intently at Abath. He walked slowly around the security desk, looked the young guard up and down, and said words that sent a chill down Abath's spine. "You look familiar. I think we have a warrant out for your arrest. Step away from the desk." Terrified and confused, Abath stepped out from behind the counter, away from the only panic button that could alert the outside world. In a flash, the second officer shoved Abath against the stone wall, spinning him around and slapping heavy metal handcuffs onto his wrists. The second guard, returning from his patrol, walked into the lobby only to face a pointed firearm. "This is a robbery," the taller man whispered, his voice completely devoid of emotion. "Don't give us any trouble, and you won't get hurt." The thieves were not cops. They were calculated imposters. They dragged the two young guards down a flight of stone steps into the pitch-black, cavernous basement of the museum. There, using rolls of thick grey duct tape, they bound the guards from head to toe, wrapping their eyes, mouths, and limbs until they were completely immobilized, chained to iron pipes in the dark. The shorter thief looked down at them, patted Abath on the shoulder, and said, "Don't worry, your nightmare is just beginning." With the guards neutralized, the thieves had total control over a gold mine. For the next 81 minutes, they roamed the silent, dark galleries completely unhindered. Most professional art thieves operate with surgical precision, targeting specific pieces and escaping within minutes. These men were different. They were brutal, clumsy, and destructive. They bypassed the high-end security sensors by simply walking slowly. They entered the Dutch Room, home to some of the rarest paintings on earth. Their first target was Rembrandt's masterpiece, The Storm on the Sea of Galilee, his only known seascape. Because the heavy wooden frame was bolted securely to the wall, the thieves didn't bother trying to unscrew it. Instead, they yanked it down, smashing the glass, and used sharp utility knives to savagely slice the canvas right out of its stretcher. They cut so close to the paint that chips of irreplaceable 17th century pigment fell like dust onto the floor. Next, they targeted Johannes Vermeer's The Concert, an incredibly rare painting worth over $250 million on its own. They tore it from its place, throwing the frame into a corner. They moved through the museum like ghosts in the night, stealing a self-portrait by Rembrandt, a landscape by Govert Flinck, 5 sketches by Edgar Degas, and an ancient bronze eagle finial from the top of a Napoleonic flag. Oddly, they walked right past a wildly expensive painting by Raphael, leaving experts to wonder if they even knew what they were looking at. By 2:45 a.m., the looting was over. The thieves loaded 13 pieces of art into the back of a hatchback parked in the alley and vanished into the thick Boston fog. They left behind a crime scene that looked like a war zone, shattered glass, splintered wood, and haunting empty frames hanging like open wounds on the walls. When the morning shift arrived, the FBI took over the case, launching the largest international art investigation in history. But every clue led to a brick wall. Investigators discovered a bizarre detail. Just minutes before the thieves arrived, Richard Abath had opened and closed the side door during his patrol for no apparent reason. Was it a signal to the thieves? Abath was interrogated relentlessly, but passed multiple polygraph tests and maintained his innocence. The focus then shifted to the Boston underworld. The FBI suspected local mafia figures like Bobby Donati and David Turner. Informants claimed the art was stolen to be used as a get-out-of-jail-free card, a bargaining chip to trade with the government if a high-ranking mob boss was ever arrested. But within years of the heist, nearly every mobster suspected of involvement was either murdered in gang wars or took the secret to their graves. In the decades that followed, the empty frames have never been touched. Per Isabella Gardner's strict will, they remain exactly where they were in 1990, waiting for the art to return. The FBI has chased leads to Ireland, France, and Japan. They have offered a staggering $10 million reward for any information leading to the recovery of the pieces. Yet the money remains completely untouched. 36 years later, the mystery has only deepened. Were the thieves professional criminals or just low-level thugs who got incredibly lucky? Where is the $500 million in art hiding? Is it rotting away in a mobster's basement or hanging in a secret private bunker of a billionaire collector? Until those canvas-less frames are filled once more, the greatest art heist in human history remains unsolved.